Alright, welcome back to a brand new video of the Targeted Individual Program, Targeted Individual Experience. So again, what they will do is that when I'm looking at certain videos or I'm on Facebook and looking at certain pages or within the stories, you know, pages like the 90 African history, this is what they would do. Okay? This is what they would do. And you hear me clicking, that's because I'm going through the history, what have you, the stories, and that's what I have to do. Okay? Now, as to why this is happening, see, the photos are fine, right? But when it comes to like the videos, forget it. When it comes to anything that has a video in it, right, from these sort of pages, from African history pages, forget it, right? This is, again, this is, let me change the light here. Okay, there you go. Balance it out a little bit. Let's change the temperature of the light. There we go. But yeah, but this is what they would do. And again, you know, particularly since I've been listening to a lot of Dr. Amos Wilson, I've just been on a binge, you know, watching his lectures, and you know, they hate that. You know, woke up this morning, and of course, they started with the radio wave, microwave frequency weapons to manipulate the minds of family members who kept walking back and forth into the hallway, shaking their keys and stuff like that, and doing it in a very subtle way, right? They're shaking up the keys in order to bypass my defense mechanism, so that I wouldn't
This is a hula dance.
start
This
doing.
is actually the traditional Zambeto ritual from West Africa,
Look
rooted
at that.
in the Vodun culture.
Look at that. As soon as I start doing the video, now you start. Now you see. It's from the same channel. Okay, from the same channel. All right. All right. As long as I've been talking, right? You guys didn't hear anything. All right. Now you see, and you hear what it is that they do. That whenever they do these stuff, and I do a video to upload, they will, you know, stop throttling the connection. They will allow the videos to play, right, in hopes that you know, I won't upload the video. But you know, this is all part of gaslighting, right? And this is just a different mechanism of gaslighting you, an individual, using, you know, online social media platforms, right? So not only do they get people to gaslight you, right, but they also, in cognitive warfare, right, also use social media to gaslight you, so that when you start to expose what it is that they're doing, all of a sudden, you know, the video will start loading, or they'll upload your video, you know. But never mind that your video took, you know, a couple hours to upload when it should just only take a couple minutes, or even less than a couple minutes, right? You know what I'm saying? But this is what they do. Okay, it's to cause confusion. It's to try to discredit you, and to try to make you look mentally unstable. And you know, this is the reason why lately I've just been watching Dr. Amos Wilson, his lecture, because he touched upon a lot of the points that I talk about, and what it is that they do, right? And how they don't want you to have a sort of a revolutionary mindset, right? And why do they want you to have a revolutionary mindset? As Dr. Amos Wilson says, that when you are living under a system of oppression, the only way you can get yourself out of it is by having a revolutionary mindset. Not by having a passive mindset and letting the system do to you what it wants. Right? You have to speak up. Sometimes that will call for action. Right? And so they don't want that. They don't want that. In the video that I was looking at, Amos Wilson effectuated a revolutionary psychotherapeutic psychology. Very, very important as we see how things are going is because black people in America and the world have been psychologically subjugated. Right? They have run a program in our minds that affect our psychology, as well as using various methods and tactics and weapons of war to affect our cognitive abilities, right? Such as learning, loss of memory, right? It is to dumb down our mind and to do it in a myriad of ways. Like here in America, they use lead. Lead is a weapon used by this white supremacist society to destroy black intelligence, right? Because if the majority of the people are not only uneducated or undereducated, right? But if you restrict their ability to absorb information, to learn, and to retain those information, you see where I'm going with this? And like I said, nigger peers will always, pull out the unicorn. You see all these young black men and women graduated high school with perfect SATs. Okay, well, how many white students do you think, or Asian students do you think, graduated in high school with perfect SATs? Compared to that of black students. See, these are things that we don't think about. See, we love to compare ourselves to each other, but we don't like to compare. When it comes to academics, we don't like to compare ourselves with other groups of people. Right? Why is that? Because as Dr. Amos Wilson said, that they have the condition within us a narcissistic personality. Right? So we're all about the self. We're not about anything that's beyond our circle, right? And our circle as individuals is very small, right? So he talks about having a sense of raising young people and children with a sense of community importance, with a sense of self-respect, right? With a sense of a family value and family orientated upbringing, because it's important. I was watching the YouTube channel, The Media Man, and I appreciate the brother, I really do, because not only is he going to speak the truth and tell you the truth regardless of what, but he gives you the data, right? And today he was saying about the churches, how the churches been lying on black men, right? But yet he doesn't quite understand why. And I'm saying, because my brother, the church is the ops. The church is part of the psychological operation against us. So when they talk about marriage and saying that black men live longer when they're married, and black men have more financial stability when they're married, that's not true. That's true for white people. That's true for Asian people. But for black men, that's not true. Not only that, because again, we look at this socio-economic status of black people in general, we're at the bottom. You look at black men, even though the average salary for black men is now moving closer to $50,000, maybe 51, 52, something like that. But compared to white men, we're still behind, right? So you need to understand that. And then, you look at black women who have been losing jobs in record numbers, right? Why is that? You have to ask yourself, why is that? Why all of a sudden, right? Where there was this mass hiring of black women over black men, now you're seeing a mass firing of black women, right? So these are things that, again, you got to look deeper to try to understand and know why. All right, so like I said, I appreciate the brother, because I sent him information on cognitive warfare, and what cognitive warfare is and what it does, right? And all you got to do, just go Google what is cognitive warfare, and Google cognitive warfare against black people in American society. And I mean, the Google AI does a pretty good job of surmising, how cognitive warfare has been waged on black people in America and how it affects black people, right? So if the AI is giving you examples, right, you should understand that, listen, this is things that you should know so that you have a better understanding, so that you understand your reality, our reality, so that you stop being delusional in your way of thinking by just believing. All right? You need to know. That's important. So we can't fix our issues unless the external factors that causes the issue is fixed. So we can talk about going back and forth and trying to blame each other and say this and that and such and such. But if you don't fix the system or change the system, we're just repeating the same mess over and over and over. You cannot fix the people who are victims of crimes, who are displaying the symptoms of oppression, the symptoms of racial discrimination, the symptoms of medical malpractice, the symptoms of miseducation, the symptoms of economic warfare, the symptoms of psychological warfare, the symptoms of cognitive warfare, which encompass all these things, right? If you don't fix the system that is waging war on black people who are victims of the system, right? So even the Nigerians who are celebrities, who are businessmen who are doing well, what have you, they understand that there are certain topics that they have to avoid in order to maintain their socioeconomic status. Do white people have to do that? No. No, they don't. That's the difference. Right? That is the difference. So if you're a black person, you talk about freedom in America, you're free, what have you. Okay, well, you have money to speak out against Palestine. I mean, speak out against, not Palestine, speak out against what Israel is doing to Palestine. Speak out against Israel. Speak out against the genocide. Right? But they won't, because their money is more important. So like I said, once they get you, the public, the world, to accept what's being done to the Palestinian, then who are they going to move on next? Will it be your people? Will it be your nation? Will it be us black people here in America? Right? Because if you don't speak out and you accept what's being done to the Palestinian, then when it's being done to us here, there's going to be no one speaking out for us. They're going to say, look, we went through genocide, Palestine went through genocide, and black people didn't speak up. And shame on the Black Congressional Caucus, the vast majority of them. Shame on them. Shame on them. Right? And shame on you Nigerians talking about nobody mess with Israel. I mean, it's really, really unbelievable, right? It really is unbelievable that we as black people will go along and support a rogue terrorist state like Israel, who is committing genocide, and this nation is emboldening them to do that. How many times when we were in high school, junior high school, we read about the Nazis, what they did to the European Jews, only to have this descendants of these people doing this to a nation of people who their land was robbed, taken, no reparation. You have Israelis just going onto Palestinian territories and just taking their land. All right, this is the same thing they did in the 1950s. Right, But again, the Europeans don't understand history. All right, we saw what happened here in America. Seneca Village here in New York. The U.S. government just took it to build Central Park using eminent domain. How many black towns have the white people in this nation have taken from black people to build highways, not to benefit black people, but to benefit them, right? But you feel comfortable. You feel comfortable being on the side, talking crap about, oh, don't nobody mess with Israel. All right? That Israel that you talk about, that's not the Israel in your Bible. Right? Because that was never a land. That was a people. So how you connecting this land to your Bible without knowing history? This is why I said religion is the ops. It is an operation, psychological operation, a psychological mind fuck on the minds of Negro being worldwide. And the churches and the pastors are part of the ops. They're the ops. They're there to take from you and give you nothing except a belief system which keeps you passive and docile and which prevent you from seeing your reality, which prevents you from doing what's best for you, your family, your people, by creating a self-centeredness. And lately, you know, they've been talking, you know, well, they sent me some message using certain, I'm watching a video and they talk about the black yoke. This is one of the most silliest aspect of these agents in the churches, these pastors, right? These white supremacist agents. They'll tell you, you know, you got to be equally yoked. But equally yoked how? Because the only equally yoked they talk about is money. It's money. They can't talk about equally yoked being at the same religion because guess what? Christians divorce each other more than any other group of people in America. Right? And particularly women divorce men. Christian women divorce Christian men more than any other group in America. So what's equally yoked? Equally yoked in your faith? No, that's not important. What's important is money. And in the vast majority of marriages, men make more money. So you're not equally yoked. It's just that men understand duty. They understand commitment more than women. Women are only committed to you based on what you can give them, what you can do for them. Men are committed to you because men have a sense of duty to his wife, to his family, and so forth. But what feminism has done is to create a mindset within the women, not only just Negro women, but every other group of women. All right. So again, there is no such thing as equally yoked. So when your pastor is telling you this, your pastor wants you to find a man who makes more money than you because he wants a hell of a lot more because he wants you to do what? To hand in those tithes. So the more money you have, that's the more money he takes in tithing. This is an economic con game these pastors play on us. And it's time we wake up. Right? Because the black church is taking $10 to $15 billion a year. And you can't tell me that these mega pastors can't buy land. They can't build affordable housing. Because I'll tell you what, if they do that, they would never ask their congregation for tithes. Right? They would be 10 times, taking 10 times more money every month by providing affordable housing, affordable rental apartments to people. And guess what? Because they're the church, it's tax-free. But that's not what they're about. They're about taking from you. You understand what I'm saying? You got to look at the ops for what it is. It is to keep you in a state of perpetual poverty. Yes, in a New York predator department using their sirens. That's true. Yeah, I'm spilling the beans. It is to keep you in a state of perpetual poverty, because in religion, right, those who have money are more narcissistic in their way of thinking that they're being blessed by God more than you. Because to them, God plays favoritism. So when they tell you God loves everybody, no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Because God plays favoritism. And if God plays favoritism, then God don't love everybody. Understand that. Know that. All right? Talk to you guys in the next video.